Hello, my name is Elaine, and this is my presentation for my essay plan. The topic that I've chosen for this essay is identity crisis. So, what exactly is identity crisis? Identity crisis is something a person goes through during the fifth stage of Erik Erikson's theory, where they question themselves about their identity or the role they play in society. However, failure to get through this stage will result in severe effects on the person's life, and it is crucial to understand this stage of Erik Erikson as it would help benefit the public in knowing more. The three key evidences are, first of all, when a person goes through a major life change or experiences trauma, it could have a mental health impact on them. Next, a person going through an identity crisis could happen due to cultural conditions. And the last evidence would be that the environment around the person could shape the person's identity. Erik Erikson's theory about fidelity, identity versus role confusion, helps people understand the thought process and emotions that people will go through when going through stage 5. And it helps as a guide for people to understand their emotions more. For source one, when a person is going through an identity crisis, their mental health is being impacted. For example, the LGBT community faces a role confusion when it comes to their sexuality, as the person identifying part of the community will be going through a suicidal ideation compared to heterosexual people. This could further harm the LGBT community as they are less likely to receive mental health services when compared to heterosexual, cisgendered people. Although this issue is widely known, there is little experience when the community is utilizing the mental health services. Due to this knowledge, the community could suffer from a disrupted mental health as they do understand the role that they play in society, nor do they understand their sexuality. This relates back to Erik Erikson's theory about how people would go through a crisis, which causes them to spiral into confusion as they cannot grip their self-worth. However, due to lack of support, there is a lack of experience when it comes to the LGBT community using suicide hotlines. And a study conducted has shown that 40% has a method about their suicidal ideation. This is the highest percentage shown in the study, and this also shows how important it is for a person to go through the stage 5 theory of Erik Erikson. This proves that Erik Erikson's theory about how people who cannot comprehend their identity would most likely suffer from mental health issues such as being suicidal. The LGBT community has a hard time understanding their role in society, as there is a stereotype in society about the value and views about what society expects from them. For example, men and women should only be attracted to the opposite sex. And this type of values that is set upon society can harm a person's mental health, especially when they don't fit in the social norm. Next, identity crisis can also happen due to having a hard time fitting into social norms. In stage 5 of Erik Erikson's theory, people in this stage would want to seek out different social groups, which means there is always a condition to be met. Sometimes people at this stage struggles to find their social group. Modern technology could also be the cause of people going through an identity crisis. According to Sachster and Gallagher 2018, when there is a marginalization and oppression, it creates an environment that endangers pseudospeciation. Pseudospeciation is when humans would separate into different societal norms. So a person going through an identity crisis would potentially go through a phase where they wouldn't know the social group that they fit in, causing them to struggle about not only their place in society, but It's harder for them to bond with people and create relationships and friendships. Environment is one of the ways where a person is shaped, meaning to say that an adolescent could be shaped in terms of their values, self-worth, and independence could vary due to the environment around them. According to Nar et al. 2015, a stressful life event could interfere with the status of achievement. And according to research, abuse in the household could heavily impact an adolescent and creates confusion and instability in a person's identity. The evidence above proves that the environment that surrounds the adolescent could be the cause of an identity crisis. Nowadays, it is normal to go through an identity crisis. However, it becomes a problem when an adolescent suffers from confusion which fosters instability. And this could further push them into overthinking about their place in society, and it could also harm their self-worth and independence. For the evaluation, all the sources gathered in the slides conveyed that identity crisis has a negative impact on a person. However, if a person would understand their self-worth and their place in the world, it could help them find a place in society, and they could further understand their identity better, making them feel loved. The sources above also proves how identity crisis really brings an impact to a person's life as they go through stage 5 of Erik Erikson's theory. The pros of the sources convey the negative impact on the person, whether it be mental health or the environment. And the cons of the sources would be that there is not much content to explain identity crisis. In conclusion, Erik Erikson's theory strongly suggests that a person would go through the crisis from age 12 to 18. However, there are some strengths and weaknesses towards this theory. Rather than it being another stage of life, it could also be as a solitary concept, where gender identity is researched more in depth rather than the stage of life. However, Erik Erikson's stage of development is a great tool for people to understand more about their feelings and emotions and confusions. It teaches people to be more self-aware about their identity and further working on finding their place in the world. Erik Erikson theory helps people in questioning and helps people develop a sense of who they are. That's all from me.